Board of Adjustment. And the first order of business is to do our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Salute. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. If you're around Susan Aiken long enough, you know not to put the comma after under God. So, you know. Okay. We now, has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? And are there any corrections or changes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve them as presented.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes as presented? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. And the next item on our agenda is consider approval of the amended zoning board of adjustment rules of procedure as directed by section 118-998Z, zoning, Article 2, administration, Division 3, Board of Adjustment, procedures of the city of Nacogdoches, Texas Code of Ordinances, and Executive Director of Development and Infrastructure. And now we will hear a report from Michael New on the updated rules.
Thank you, Chair, board members. Good afternoon. Mike New, Executive Director of Development and Infrastructure. This item on our agenda is a continuation of discussion from our last meeting where the board reviewed some red line changes to the ZBA Rules of Procedure. Just to quickly recap prior discussions to that, we do have a zoning ordinance subcommittee, members of council, P&Z, and ZBA that have gone through a number of discussions and are continuing to discuss potential changes to the zoning ordinance of the city. Our board procedures and board actions of this board fall within that chapter. And the Rules of Procedure document is one that that ZBA had requested be reviewed. So the subcommittee has weighed in on changes. We presented a couple of times to this board potential changes and requests, and are bringing forward to you some additional changes made and requested from the last meeting. And those are shown in the highlighted portions of the red line text document. And for our alternate member who's on board, maybe looking at this collectively for the first time, it seems like a lot, but with some of the changes to our table of contents, some removed attachment sections at the back, that's maybe seems like more than it is, but we did make some significant changes to certain sections. I wanted to go straight to our highlighted portions unless there was questions maybe about other red line sections. So I will take you to document page 15. This is section 2.6, part D. This was adding the executive session notice to every board agenda as just part of the template for that agenda document. This is something we have begun doing already to allow the ZBA, when needed, to consult with the city attorney on any matters and go into closed session to do that. In order to do that, a notice requirement is there and has to be there on the agendas. Usually it's for very specific items, but it can be there when consultation is needed. So we're meeting that requirement, but we're providing that in the procedure as well.
Okay, did you say that was? I was reading something else and I apologize.
I may have jumped one, but I'll go back to it. I went to 2.6 part D.
Oh, okay.
Section 2.6 part D. Within the rules of procedure, that would be page 4.
Okay,
our
I see
packet,
that.
page 15. Okay. So that's the notice requirement there, and I missed one. That's 2.5 under agendas, providing, according to Texas Government Chapter Code 551, but also explaining that agenda notices or agendas will be posted at least 72 hours prior to the scheduled time of the meeting. That was a request from our last meeting. And I'm going to cover these highlighted items, but we can come back to anything if you'd like.
Okay.
The next item is on red line page 6, 4.1, part C, Number 2, we removed that additional word, which may have changed the meaning of special exception consistency. So we took out the word "in," the word "in," so that it says special exception is consistent
I'm
with general
sorry,
purpose
page 6?
statements.
Did you say page 6?
Yeah, page
Page
6, PDF document, page 17,
page
in the
17
lower
of the
right corner.
packet.
Oh, 17.
Yeah.
When we put these packets together, it does generate page numbers
Yeah.
for both the packet
Okay,
and
gotcha.
internal document. But, so we did that. That was a small change. And then one of the larger changes is on red line, page 11, PDF, page 22, section 5.8, and new section 5.9. This was to differentiate between how the vote of board members is cast, what the minimum requirements would be, and what those criteria are. So we are probably most familiar with 4 votes for affirmative action. We've separated the vote of simple majority and the components of that, which were in the original procedure, but we've clarified that so that it's easier to find and understand.
That's better.
And then those comprise the additional changes from the red lines that were presented at last meeting, and I'm available for questions.
I have a question about the executive meeting, or, if we, how is that brought about? Like, say a meeting is being conducted and something comes up. Can any one of the members make a motion to retire to an executive session? And then it has to be voted on, or how would that actually play out?
Yeah, that would be the procedure. So a motion will be made, we would have to have a second, and then
A majority vote.
a majority vote to move to
Okay.
executive session.
But if we were in the middle of something, kind of, I mean, I know we always refer back to the deal that happened when they got served with papers. We don't all like to think about that, remember that deal. But if something were to happen where we felt like we needed to just not be, to go into executive session, we could stop the meeting and go into executive session?
So we'd still need a vote to do that.
Right, but we would have that ability if
So-
something happened like that.
Correct. And
Okay.
also, according to the Open Meetings Act, we need to identify the specific.
We have to have this, a specific,
exception
a specific
identified.
item that will be discussed in executive session.
Correct.
Okay, understood.
So consultation with legal counsel, you'll need to cite that section of the code.
Okay.
The government code to.
Okay.
And you have to give a reason for going into?
You can say to
executive-
consult with the council.
Yes,
Okay,
and you would
that's the
say
reason. Okay.
consultation with legal counsel and cite the specific government code.
That may
section.
be, and that may be something we kind of provide a walkthrough procedure for the chair, for you, I think.
On this, yeah, I said
Yeah.
where it says before executive session.
And we can
You
probably
say,
put
yeah.
just a reference, if you ever needed to use it, a reference for convening
Right.
into executive
Yeah.
session too. That way you can kind
Yeah.
of state it the way it needs to be stated.
Right.
Okay.
I saw that one, okay. Does anybody else have any other questions of Mr. New? Do y'all want a few minutes to read over this? Larry, Maggie, David, or Ed? I know you kind of got
Yeah.
thrown into this deal, but.
And I'm looking at the highlighted parts.
Were you going to discuss the formal statement to be presented at the next meeting? According to the minutes, it had to do with the board consulting with outside legal counsel.
So what we're doing with that item is we're going to bring that up as a separate item with the subcommittee. We have council member representation there, and we'll try to obtain a subcommittee recommendation for that particular item. So we'll move that to that particular item so we can carry forward the current changes in the rules of procedure
And we
document.
discussed that, because I knew you and I were on that
Yeah.
subcommittee,
Okay.
and I thought that we could
Okay.
discuss that a little bit more.
Yeah, it
In
would be
depth.
good to have the broader group
Yes, yes.
weigh in on
Fair.
it, so.
And we haven't, I think we've scheduled, that's the 27th.
27th, I think it's the
Right after
Tuesday
Memorial
Last week of
Day.
May.
Right after Memorial Day weekend,
yes.
yep.
Yeah, it's at 4 o'clock on the 27th,
And
yes.
we're still finalizing that agenda, but we should have that available next week.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
So Are we waiting for that to present this to city council, or how does it get, how do these edits get presented to city council?
No, what we would probably want to do is go ahead and bring this forward to city council. That would be a majority of the changes to the rules of procedure.
Right.
And let council review this and make a decision on this. And then if there was a recommendation to carry forward some reference to outside counsel, we could carry that action through council and get a determination and then look at just a quick update to the rules of procedure then. We've gone through, it seems like a long process to get this part done.
Yeah,
Because there were a lot of changes and discussion about this, but if that ended up being a sort of an addendum change to the document, we'd go through the same process, but it would be much quicker because it'd be quite
Because we would have
straightforward.
already approved all these
Yeah.
changes.
so you anticipate that it'll happen possibly at the next meeting?
Well, our next meeting is this coming Tuesday, so it would be
So
June
that's too
3.
soon. So-
June 3 would be the next available
Okay.
council meeting to get on the agenda.
But there's no other obstacles in the way that's.
Not for these
that's there?
changes, no.
Okay,
No.
good.
If there's not any other questions, then I would entertain a motion to approve the zoning, the zoning board of adjustment rules of procedure.
Are you making the motion?
No, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve them.
Okay. Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries, and the City of Nacogdoches Zoning Board of Adjustment Rules of Procedure is adopted.
Well,
It'll need to go to council.
Okay.
it's a recommendation
Okay.
to council,
Okay,
yes.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah, the action
We're-
is actually a recommendation to the council,
Recommended.
and so it will go on the
Okay.
council's June 3
Well,
agenda.
They have no idea what all we went through on this.
Well, we started discussing it in October.
Okay, I just know it's been a
Because I remember
while.
I was out of town.
Okay.
then.
And I'll do the same thing with the council. I'll cover some of the history of discussion,
Okay.
and definitely speak to the highlights of the changes, so.
Good,
Okay.
good.
All right. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Yeah.
Will, now do you want to, we also are looking for a zoning ordinance subcommittee report. Do you want to speak to that, Maggie, and then I can follow up, or?
Well, I think we.
We're
did-
both on the zoning ordinance subcommittee. For you members that, we've been rewriting the zoning ordinance, I guess, is that what you would call it?
Proposing changes, discussing potential
Proposing
changes.
changes, yes.
Yeah, and some of those are obviously left over from discussion at the joint council P and Z workshop,
Right.
but between now and then, staff has brought forward items for discussion because of some of the things we're seeing in our process.
We're trying to streamline the zone, when was it, 1971? Was that?
Not holistically, there have been other
Okay.
changes since then, but.
But there's a lot of old stuff
There's definitely things that haven't been changed since that time.
since the 70s. And we're just trying to get it all more cohesive and to where also the public would make it better for them when they're searching our website. If they look for a certain word, we want it to be able to reflective that, you know, it's a more user-friendly document.
So, some of the items that we'll look at, again, we probably have this outside counsel as an item, but we're also looking at, we've just considered and had council authorize changes to definitions for tattoo salon, beauty salon, just to give one example. But some other ones that we would look at is potential fence regulations, district standards, off-street parking. We're going to continue that discussion at our next meeting. Non-conforming uses. So there's still a lot, and some of those are kind of big umbrella items we might need to break down as discussion evolves, but
We've been discussing single-family residential with lots of college students in one room, and especially in residential subdivisions,
and staff is sensitive, and we'll keep the subcommittee and others updated, and council as well updated on legislation as it
I
progresses
started to
too,
say, I've
because
been
there are some
watching
impacts.
some of those, yes.
So, pardon my
Yes.
ignorance, but why doesn't that fall under the coverage of planning and zoning instead of zoning board of adjustments?
Which part?
The ordinance change.
Well,
zoning
they're
ordinance change.
represented in the.
Yeah.
Oh, they
This
are?
is-
Okay.
this is-
I thought
this
it
is
was
a-
just this, okay.
No, it's
No,
called
there's
just the
two
zoning
city
ordinance
councils.
Okay.
subcommittee.
There's
Yeah.
two city
But
council
the-
members.
P and Z is on there
Yeah.
too, okay.
Yes, there's
Two
two P and Z
P&Z and
people,
two
two
others.
ZBA people, two city councilmen, Mr. New, Mr. Baker, and then Juan and Amy are there from the,
Yeah.
and
anybody
Blaine
can
Williams and
join
Brad
in.
Mull are the two city council.
And there's items in the zoning ordinance that wouldn't necessarily apply to P and Z, others
Yeah.
that wouldn't necessarily apply to ZBA, so
Yeah.
it's a little different, yeah.
So,
But
All
it's
right.
good to have the city council members there, because then when they see these things come in front of them, they've been in on the discussion and have had, you know, some influence on the outcome.
yeah,
and it's been
well,
helpful
there's
for
some
residents.
input as well to say what,
Right,
yeah, what they're
Exactly.
hearing, so.
exactly.
Did anybody else have any other questions about the zoning ordinance subcommittee? Okay. Is there any, we have no other business, so our meeting is adjourned.
We just
We
set,
adjourned at 4:15.
did we set a new record?